That's a question right there. It's all there. Very easy. Ethically ambiguous tactic. It's all about the truth. Ambiguous. What does ambiguous mean? Ambiguous is defined as open to more than one interpretation, doubtful or uncertain. Ambiguity. Well, you can look at it from this way or you can look at it from that way. It's an ambiguous. There's no standard answer. Okay? It's ambiguous. Ethical negotiation questions raised by ambiguous tactics are: how honest, candid, and disclosing should a negotiator be? Again, depends. I hate using that word, but it's a good HR word. I always use that word. Well, that depends. It's relative. It's, again, we're getting into the relativity side, okay? Honest, candid, and disclosing should a negotiator be? Well, it depends on the negotiation process, who you're negotiating with, what you're negotiating about, what part of the world you're negotiating in, and so on and so forth, okay? All of that is driven by that. How does one define truth? Okay? There are different variables on what you consider true versus, when I was a kid, we used to come up with words like, well, there's lie, which is serious, and then there's a fib. Anybody ever heard that word, fib? Fib is much lesser than a lie. It's okay to fib.
White lie.
White lie, yeah, exactly. Okay. So how do you define truth? Now, white lies, fibs, it doesn't make any difference, they're all lies. So there's no degree of lying. You're either a liar or you're not. Okay? How does one define and classify deviations from the truth? Are all deviations lies, no matter how small and minor they are? Personal thing. Should a person tell the truth all the time, or are there times when not telling the truth is an acceptable or necessary form of conduct? That's a tough one to answer. It gets back to what was the question I asked this morning that applies to that. Does this dress make me look fat? There's no way you're going to say yes. No, honey, everything you wear just makes you look beautiful. Huh? Yeah. Or what do you think of my new hat? Oh, it's wonderful. What do you think of this color on me? Okay? I mean, we lie all the time. Your spouse asks you, a wife asks her husband, hey, what time did you get home from that business meeting? Oh, so you must have just fallen asleep when I walked in the door. Or in essence, you got home at 4 o'clock in the morning, but you didn't know, okay? So, is that unethical? Is that lying? You have to decide. Okay? Sometimes we lie to be kind. Is that a lie? I don't know. Like I said, so you guys have to decide that, okay? Acceptability of ethically ambiguous tactics. So, strategy in business is similar to strategy in the game of poker. Anybody ever play poker? Okay, you know what poker is? So you conceal information and you bluff, right? So if you're sitting there with no hand and you keep raising, what are you trying to do? The person that plays poker. I'm sitting there with nothing. I'm bluffing. I'm raising and raising. I'm bluffing, but what am I trying to accomplish? I'm trying to get other people to think I have a very good hand and drop out, okay? Now, is that unethical? No, yeah, well, maybe. See, that's the ambiguity, okay? This is what we're raising here. Executives in companies are often compelled for their company interests to practice some form of deception when they deal with customers, suppliers, labor unions, government officials, and so on. So, customer calls up. Where's my order? I ordered it 2 weeks ago. And then you suddenly realize you forgot to process the order. Are you going to tell the customer I forgot to process the order? No, you're going to say, oh, we had an issue with a couple of things. Should have it out to you today or tomorrow at the latest. When in essence you totally forgot to even write the order up. Okay? Is that lying? Is that unethical? Or is that good business practice?
Good business practice.
Yeah, but how long are you going to be in business if you say, oh, you know what, we just blew you off and totally forgot about it. Your order was so small, it didn't mean anything to us. That good business practice?
No.
Well, what are you going to do? See? You know, sometimes being 100% totally honest, okay, is really a pain, okay? Nobody likes you.
It doesn't work like that.
What doesn't work like that?
Being honest all the time.
No, it doesn't work. People will dislike you.
Yeah.
If you're totally honest. Gee, that outfit looks ridiculous on you. Hey, you know that new makeup? You look like Bozo the Clown. No, you can't be totally honest. Let's face it.
You can say it in a kind way, much better.
Huh?
You can say it in a much better way.
So, through conscious misstatements, concealment of pertinent facts or exaggeration or bluffing, they seek to persuade others to agree with them. Bluffing, exaggeration, concealment, or manipulation of information can be legitimate ways for individuals and corporations to maximize their self-interest. Okay? And this happens all the time. Look at politicians. They never tell the truth, ever. But rarely does anybody say they're liars. Okay? It's just considered, well, it's just good business practice to do it this way. Okay? Look at Brian Williams, the head of NBC News. Look what happened to him. He made up all these stories. Now he's suspended for 6 months because of his exaggeration of stories. Okay? Which leads us to omission versus commission. Know this one. I know this one is in your multiple choice, by the way. I happen to see it on the desk. Omission versus commission. You should know this also for your essay. You may want to work this into an essay question. Common value deceptive practices. Omission, commission, very easy. Think of this as you're buying a house, right? You say to the homeowner, is the house structurally sound? And the homeowner says, oh yeah, it's a solid house. You can see it's well built, it's solid. But you happen to know as the homeowner, the roof leaks when you get heavy rains. So, you don't put that into your statement. You don't tell them that. Is that a omission or a commission?
Omission.
It's omission. You just left it out. But if that potential buyer says to you, does the roof leak? And you say no, then that's actually lying. That's a commission of a lie. So, not adding something to a general question would be omission. Specifically lying about something is commission. See the difference? Okay. So, failure to disclose information that would benefit the other party is omission. Actually lying about the common value issue would be commission.
That's not the commission that's being stated all the time with, when you buy something. Oh, it's the same standard word. They mean it. Sometimes when
What?
contractor, he goes for, he said, okay, I'll give you a commission to do.
Oh, no.
This is another.
You're talking about commission, that comes with sales.
With sales.
That's sales commission. No, this means commission of a lie. Commit, like commit a lie. The committing of a lie is the commission of a lie. Okay, if you commit a lie, it's commission. If you omit something, that's omission. I'm not lying, but I'm kind of masking or hiding something. I'm leaving it out of my description. It's like you see an ad in the paper for a car, okay? Great car, runs like a watch, new tires, this, that, and the other thing, and it sounds like, wow, sounds like a great car. And then you get there to look at the car, and most of the body is rusting away. But the guy never said, has a little bit of rust, or, he just omitted that from the description of the car. So it wasn't exactly what was advertised. That's omission. But if you say to that person, how does a car run? Oh, it runs great. You buy it, and then, a mile down the road it breaks down. Well, it's not running great. That's basically commission of a lie. Okay? So one, you omit certain information, and the other, you outright lie about it. Got it? Consequences of unethical conduct. You have effectiveness, reactions of others, reactions of self. So, the success of unethical tactics, if you're successful, that will encourage you to continue using them in the future. It's called effectiveness. So, being unethical in negotiations, if your unethical behavior is successful, do you have any motivation not to be unethical in the future? No, they work. It works. It's successful. Why would I change? That's called effectiveness. Effectiveness of unethical conduct. Reactions of others. How those impacted by the tactic evaluate and react to their use. So, if people don't react to your unethical conduct, why should you change? Right? And reaction of self. How the negotiator themselves reacts to using the tactic and how they evaluate their own self-image. Discomfort, stress, guilt, or remorse. So, if you go through negotiation using unethical practices, and you look at yourself in the mirror the next day and say, oh, I don't know how I could have acted that way, that would be reaction of self. But if you look in the mirror and say, boy, I really got away with it, I'm going to use this again and again, okay? It just depends, right? Those are all consequences of unethical conduct. Demographic factors of ethics. You have sex, age and experience, professional orientation, nationality, and culture. So, this is interesting. Women tend to make more ethically rigorous judgments than men. What does that mean?
Yeah, weak.
Oh, now you see, there's a typical, meaning they're weaker. See, my response would have been, women are more honest. You said, no, they're more weaker. Women tend to be more ethically conscious than a man does, which means a man will lie or misrepresent more freely than a woman would. Okay? It's a gender difference. Got it? Age and experience. Both men and women behave more ethically with age, and individuals with more work experience are less likely to use unethical negotiation tactics. So, the older you are, the more honest you are and ethical you are, or the more experienced you are, the more ethical you are. Got it? Professional orientation. People in different professions differ on judgments of perceived appropriateness of ethics and honesty. So, that's a tough one. So, let's say if you're in accounting and finance, for example, do you think you have more of, would you say you have more of a appropriateness to be more ethical or unethical? Probably more ethical because of the penalties attached in accounting and finance, okay? But what if you're in human resources? Could be, yeah. It might not have the same level of honesty. Okay? You get away with more. Whereas accounting and finance, you know why? Because accounting and finance is very quantitative. It's very statistical. You can be easily proven wrong. Whereas in HR, the word is, it's more ambiguous. It's a little difficult to pin somebody down. Okay. Nationality and culture. Significant differences are found across different nationalities and different cultural backgrounds when it comes to ethical behavior. They didn't specify. Probably they wouldn't dare. Okay. So we'll just leave that open for interpretation. They didn't specify what nationality or culture are more ethical or less ethical. Okay. Your book didn't specify, probably just as well. So it can be nationality or culturally driven. Okay. Personality differences, you have competitive versus cooperative, you have Machiavellianism, which we talked about before, and something called the locus of control. So, competitive versus cooperative. Competitive personalities tend to use more ethically ambiguous tactics than cooperative personalities. Machiavellianism are more likely to lie when they need to and are better able to lie without feeling anxious about it, and they are more persuasive and effective in their lies. Machiavellianism, again, is simply the belief that the end justifies the means of how you got there, including lying. Okay? Locus of control is the degree to which individuals believe that outcomes they obtain are largely a result of their own ability and effort, which is internal control, versus fate or chance. So, positive outcomes of negotiation, locus of control, I internalize it. I'm responsible for the positive outcome. Whereas if there's a negative outcome, that was just fate, chance. I didn't have any control over that. Okay. Individuals who are high in internal control are more likely to do what they think is right. Okay. You don't need to know that, by the way, for the exam. That's not in the ethical question. Okay. And how do you deal with deceptive practices? If you're negotiating with someone, you feel they're being deceptive, ask probing questions. If I'm buying a car, used car, and I want to know more and more information, I keep asking more probing questions. Okay. Restate questions differently is another way. Force the other party to back off. Test the other party's honesty with something you know is true, and then ask them to see what their response is. Call the other party on their use of that tactic, that dishonest tactic, or ignore it. So, that's ethics. We're getting there. 2 more to go, and then we'll cover the exam. The last chapter is a shorter one, too. So. Number 9. So, a little bit on international and cross-cultural negotiation.